If AI doesn't know something, it just makes it up. AI will make up something if it doesn't know. We had a client who is in the software space. We had a problem for the longest time until we gave it specific guidance where it was making up stuff. It was making up stuff about the software that wasn't true. This software was differentiated from the other softwares and was truly the best, most cutting edge solution. But AI kept defaulting to the incorrect old assumption that this is what the software did because the website didn't talk about it very much, how their approach was different. And even when they started to talk about how they were different on the website specifically, the AI was so overwhelmed with the existing information that this is the way it's done, that it couldn't get it through its AI brain that this is the new way to do it. And so our solution to that was actually giving it the specific guidance to say, no, that's not true. This is true for our specific business. But that's the biggest thing here. If AI doesn't know what it's talking about, it will make it up. And you have to double check that it is staying true to your differentiators because it's not going to advocate for you. You have to advocate for yourself. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Marketing Blender Show. I'm Hudson Labno, the digital marketing specialist here at the Marketing Blender.
And I'm Ramsey Sanchez, head of digital.
We're gathered here today to talk about one of the biggest questions that we hear from stakeholders, owners, and everyday executors of SEO strategy, or those who are interested in it. What AI SEO tools are best to use? What are the tips and tricks that are current? And how is AI SEO evolving? And how do I keep up with it? So we're going to go over those questions today. I'm going to ask Ramsey a couple of questions here, and we're going to have a general conversation that should help guide you on what the best next steps are to take as far as upgrading your AI SEO and SEO in general.
Let's just hop right into the question. Which AI tools are the best to use in 2026?
I'm going to answer that question very vaguely. I don't think there is a specific SEO tool that is the best. And I think if I give you an answer that it's going to be outdated in 6 months or even by the time this episode launches, the answer to that question is any AI tool that helps you understand the specific phrasing of the questions your customers are asking. Traditionally, it would have been keywords. So if you own a local muffin shop, where can I find a local blueberry muffin would be the AI prompt. But previously, it would have been blueberry muffin as the AI keyword. So it's a longer tail query. But any tool that helps you understand the general questions that your customers are asking combined with your own knowledge of what your customers are asking, that is the best AI tool to use. There are a couple of them out there right now from the big guys that were doing the keyword tools before, but I don't want to name names right now. If you give it a quick Google search, there are multiple tools on the market, but almost certainly a couple months from now, those big players will have changed.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And like Hudson was saying, anyone with the big names are pretty much prominent in Google search. So if you go search for those, they're probably the tools that we're using right now. What I like to say as far as AI tools that we're going to be using in 2026 are going to be the ones that we still used prior to this time, before AI, which is Google Search Console. And that one is very interesting because the setup is the same and they're implementing new AI tools all the time into that platform, which is just going to enable us as marketers, as business individuals in getting our website ranked and really be able to find new keyword terms, how your pages are ranking, and give us all the insights and data in faster real time, which is going to be really important. Now, the interesting thing about Google Search Console and some of these other tools that are out there is that they usually just pull from Search Console, or they maybe have their own crawlers. There's going to be so many tools out there that you don't want to just go chase the shiny object and fall into that trap and end up paying for multiple tools that all do the same thing.
Most of them don't have proprietary data. They're just pulling from APIs or pulling from data streams and presenting it differently. So a lot of these tools and their high expense, I wouldn't be surprised if they went down or the features were greatly enriched by a brand new tool or an upgrade to an existing tool in the next couple of months. So I would also stay away from lifetime subscriptions. Especially right now, I've seen that offered a lot, unless it is a lifetime subscription to a tool that you know will evolve with the times and will just give you a static option. To your point about Google Search Console and anything similar is still a really good tool to get data because we have a hard time tracking specific prompts because everyone enters a slightly different phrasing, whether you have the word the in there or you're removing the word the. It's a really hard thing to track. And if you want to clump things together, maybe an AI tool in the future will enable that. Or maybe there's something out there right now that's being worked on. But generally, we still start with keywords. We use keywords to track our showing up in AI searches, in Google searches. And so any tools that still have that data, and they are the source of truth for how people are searching with keywords, are still the data source. And then to reiterate, any tool that you're paying for is pretty much just building on existing data that's accessible, albeit sometimes in a difficult way.
Yeah, and I would like to build on that a little bit more with some of the keywords and phrases that you might come across. They probably already exist. So like take your muffin store. 10 years ago, if you're searching for, best muffin shop, best coffee shop near me, and you go into Google, it's probably going to give you one listing, 3 listings, and you're just like, okay, great, let me go to that shop. But now with coffee shops and services and things like that changing, if you're to do that search now and someone said, hey, I want to look for the best muffin shop that offers matcha tea or whatever it may be, some kind of that's a specific brew, that information will be a little bit harder to find in a normal Google search, but not in AI. AI will have those answers for you, and they're pulling from all sources of data. So they're going to be pulling from your website, your business profile, social media. It's going to be pulling from someone's review on Facebook, whatever it may be, and it's going to gather that data and put it in front of that search user in AI Overview or ChatGPT. And what's really cool about that is not only that is they're going to be able to pull 2 other competitors, 2 other shops, and then they're going to be able to ask, the user is going to ask, what is the prices, right? Okay, here are the prices for all 3. Okay, what has the best quality? Here's the quality of these 3 based off of their reviews or based off of what they said, or what a magazine said, right? An award that they got or something. And then once it kind of concludes that data, it's going to give you the best option and also say, by the way, this one's 2 minutes from you.
Which I think a lot of business owners have, which is what leverage do I have to pull? As far as really the question they're asking is, why do I show up in this way or don't show up at all in AI searches? Let's continue on the muffin or bakery shop example. What would cause your bakery to show up as number 2 instead of number 1 or not on the list at all? Is it just technical SEO? Is it broader authority signals? How would you take the answer to that question?
For example, if you're looking at Google search and you're looking at the top 10 links, not the ads, not the AI, if you're looking at the top 10 links, that's page 1. So if you're not in the top 3 positions, they usually say that's where you're going to be the most prominent, where someone might consider you after they do a search. It might have improved a little bit with all the new different ways Google displays data and your search rankings. So it is important that you're on page 1, but it's not entirely the end of the world if you're on page 2 or if you're at the very bottom of page 1. That is still the area where most individuals, whether you're in B2B or if you're a coffee shop, are going to do research. Of course, we want the top 1 or 2% of people who are just going to buy right away off of the first 3 links that they see, but it's not always the case. So I just want to make sure that we talk about that. But going into the technical side of things for SEO, so a lot of times those companies who are already in the top position, they've had a domain for a really long time. They've been building multiple pages. There's a good chance that they could be buying backlinks or things like that have got them there in that position. It's not impossible to get there. And what you have to do is not only do SEO technical updates to your website, right? H1, meta, descriptions, adding pages, but you also have to now utilize some other sources, right? So you got to utilize we call them UGC, right? Creators who have websites and blogs and social media accounts. And they also talk about your brand. Have them talk about your brand, have them, right? Just to build that traffic. But really, when it comes down to it, building up on your SEO is sort of like when you think about your first car, right? Your first website, your first car, it's pretty much the same. It's the same, right? You just needed something that was out there, it got you point A to B, and you really didn't upgrade it to anything better. Eventually, once you get reviews and you start making all that progress, you start getting a better car, more quality, you start getting more what we call impressions. You get more eyeballs on your car, right, on your website because of that reason. Oh, by the way, you put your car in a car show, like you're getting more impressions that way.
Well, the other thing is, it's really good news if you are a beloved business in the community. Like if you're the local bakery shop, you're down the street in Fort Worth, and everyone loves you and they talk about you that way. And I ask people around the office and they say, this is the best bakery, you need to go there. You're in luck with the new age of AI SEO because it's more human. It looks at those authority signals like social media. So let's take two examples. Your website shows that you are the best bakery in Fort Worth, and it claims that. And the second example will also claim you're the best bakery in Fort Worth. But in the first example, everyone talks about you in a wonderful way. And you are the best bakery ever. You need to go here. People are leaving reviews on your Google page. Every source from social media to blogging websites to everywhere you can think of, they're talking about you positively. I know the answer is obvious, but which one are you going to rank higher with and why?
Which of the businesses are going to win in those examples? It's going to be the one who gets the most authority based off the general audience consensus, right? It's those who are getting the best reviews, they're getting their name out there on social media, they're getting their name out. And it's not just on your website, but it's all the different variables around your website.
And to name a few, reviews. So Google reviews matter in a huge way. Previously it was just if someone looked at the business. A magazine with authority themselves names you an authority figure as the best bakery for 2026 in Fort Worth. That's also authority. So print publications, online publications, truly anything that gives you trust outside of yourself, because that's the biggest thing that AI search engines are looking for. It's looking for not only what are you saying about yourself, but what are other people saying about you, because they don't just trust you and take your word for it, unfortunately. And that's a good thing. In the past, you could just talk about yourself in this incredible way. I'm the best bakery in Fort Worth. And the search engines didn't have any other data to not take your word for it. In more of a way now, it's becoming more of if people trust you and talk about you in a good way, you can trust those answers coming from AI in a different way. I'm not going to say entirely, but AI is looking at how people actually talk about you, and it's not just taking your word for it. I think that's a good thing. If you are a business owner that is loved in the community and truly provides a good service, and specifically speaking to B2B, those customers who are looking for you, if you are truly better than your competitor, you need to talk about it and have your customers talk about it publicly too, because it's looking for a way to trust you. It doesn't just want to take your word for it. And so that's the specific example of why those trust signals matter. Okay, so Ramsey, next question. When you are writing content on your website, because it's incredibly important what you write on your website now, how should you go about that? Should you have an AI entirely do it and tell AI to optimize your SEO copy? Should you start with your own wording? Where should you start and where should you end with using AI to write your website copy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So with AI and content writing for your website, this sort of goes back to the data that we kind of were alluding to earlier. And Hudson, you were just bringing this up about if someone is searching for your business, right, on Google, there's a good chance that, according to data, 50 to 60% of the time, someone is looking for something local, right? So if you're a local business, great. There's another piece of data out there where it's, I believe, about 50 to 60% of those searches are no click, right? So they actually are never going to click on your website. And that number's probably gone up way, way higher because of AI, right? You have AI overview. In Google, we have ChatGPT, and all of the data, all the sources, they're pulling it and scraping it from your website and putting it right in front of the user in AI Overview and in ChatGPT. So what does that mean? Well, if your content and writing on your website sound the same as another website, and it sounds the same as another, it's going to then get the signal that, hey, this was written by AI. And everyone else sounds the same. And the one who has the unique piece of content is most likely going to show up higher, right? It's going to show that this actually has a real person writing behind the screen, not AI. And I think that's really important with everyone's website, especially in the B2B space, right? If you're serving locally, let's say you're a construction company, right? You're both B2B and you're local. You're going to win just based off of finding, your local company. You're going to be found a lot easier. You have a social media site. You have a Google business profile. That's where I think it's really important for somebody on the back end of your business who's in marketing or operations that is writing content and answering the questions that come up every single day. Right? I think a lot of times a website has been built, hasn't been touched for 5 years, 2 years, but think about all the different concerns that people have, all the questions people have, all the great case studies and success stories you've had, and none of that data, none of that writing has made it to your site on, hey, this happened in such and such county, we got this award for such and such service. If that is not making it to your website, you're really not going to start ranking. And that's what AI is looking for.
So Ramsey, let me ask you a question. If you were the CEO and also an SEO specialist, but you were the CEO of a construction company that specializes in creating auditoriums with really good sound design, how would you go about talking specifically about that? How would you go about prompting your copywriting to create a website that specifically speaks to that and actually start showing up in AI SEO over your competitors? What would you use as far as techniques and tactics that would help get you ahead over others?
I could write all the content myself, and I know what to look for. I know what keywords to look for in this space. I know how to do the research. This would be still a difficult task because something like building to a specific service, right? Auditorium with acoustics, it has to meet these specs or things like that. Some of that is technical, and then some of it can be still general for, let's say a local high school is looking to build a new place for their band. That is something that I would want to do the research in first, right? So we have our tools like AI, we have other tools for keywords. I would want to see if there's any volume around that, if it even existed. What construction companies do this, right? That's a long term, but a shorter term would be companies that can build a building for local bands, right? Something like that. There may only be a small bit of volume around it, but you still want to write on it. And if I was an SEO specialist, I would take that term, I would create the headline and the copy and make sure that I'm talking to the target persona there. Because if I use AI might be thinking I'm trying to write this to some other type of industry or business, some other audience, and you're not going to rank for what it is you're trying to rank for. So that is where it becomes really important that if you're going to be a CEO, that you have some kind of content writer writing on topics that make the most sense and have relevancy to that topic.
AI is such a powerful tool when you're doing your copywriting. Everyone should use it. It speeds up the process. It gets done what you could previously do in 50 hours in 10 hours. But it still is going to take 10 hours. And I think a lot of people expect that it will take 1 hour or 30 minutes, or you can just prompt AI once and it magically understands your business and can write this perfect copy for you. But you shouldn't do that because you are going to default to the default setting with AI. Everything that it's trained on, it won't show you what your differentiators are. You need to use your understanding of your business, your understanding of your revenue, where your current customers come from and where your potential or desired customers are going to come from, and answer those questions with your human brain. You need to prompt AI, and the best advice I can give is start and finish with humanity. So when you're prompting AI, use it as a tool. It is the intermediary to help you get there and be more efficient, but start with your human brain and understanding of your revenue at a human level, like you're having a conversation, and explain that to AI and guide it, really be that guiding hand. And then once you get to the end, that final polish should be your own words. You should not let AI write the copy from start to finish. There should be at least 5 to 10 changes when you're writing super critical copy on your website. I've seen a lot of copy nowadays on websites that is totally written by AI, and it fails to perform. We can see it in the rankings. It just looks generic because the AI is reading that as the same thing that everyone else is doing. AI content defaults to what the general model is trained on.
That's a great point, especially on the general model side. If you think about all the different AI tools that we're pulling from, right? If you're just going into ChatGPT and you said, hey, write this blog article for me, it's essentially just scraping the whole website for any other construction company that might be doing something around acoustics, that might be doing it for a different industry. That is pretty dangerous when it comes to your writing. And if you just put out what it exactly gives you on the first try, I mean, not only could you be penalized for that because we don't know if it's plagiarized, we don't know if it's just pulling from other websites, which it is, that's going to be a problem. So as Hudson was saying, use AI for more of ideation, use it for framing up what it is that you want to talk about, but don't use it as your source for writing all the information. You start that first, then you can give it to AI to maybe give you some more ideas, but you want to make sure you have really quality work. And when it's done, source it. Make sure you're making sure that if you do pull anything from AI, it's not from another company or something like that. If something doesn't exist yet, right? Like when we think about AI, terms that come around AI, right? AI writing, AI research, that probably had a really low search volume at one point. Like 3-4 years ago, no one was really looking up AI writing as much as they are now, right? But someone who did write about that topic 2 or 3 years ago was ahead of the game.
If AI doesn't know something, it just makes it up. AI will make up something if it doesn't know. We had a client who is in the software space for in the B2B software space. And we had a problem for the longest time until we gave it specific guidance where it was making up stuff. It was making up stuff about the software that wasn't true. This software was differentiated from the other softwares and was truly the best, most cutting edge solution. But AI kept defaulting to the incorrect old assumption that this is what the software did because the website didn't talk about it very much, how their approach was different. And even when they started to talk about how they were different on the website specifically, the AI was so overwhelmed with the existing information that this is the way it's done, that it couldn't get it through its AI brain that this is the new way to do it. And so our solution to that was actually giving it the specific guidance to say, no, that's not true. This is true for our specific business. But that's the biggest thing here. If AI doesn't know what it's talking about, it will make it up. And you have to double check that it is staying true to your differentiators because it's not going to advocate for you. You have to advocate for yourself and use AI to make your writing more efficient. And in that case, you'll succeed with your copywriting, your blogging, everything else. But that was just an example that stood out in my mind, which was that our client was using AI. We were using AI to write content for the client, and it was just incorrect. We had to correct it every single time because AI doesn't know what it's talking about, and therefore it made it up based on what the most likely answer is. The way AI works is it's a prediction engine. It's basically telling you what it thinks you want to hear. AI will tell you what it thinks you want to hear. It will make stuff up. And that's actually the core of the technology and why it works well. Because usually when it predicts what it needs to say, it's usually correct. But occasionally we'll get it wrong. And especially if you're in a more niche B2B industry, it will come up with incorrect things about your business, and it will not fight to show your differentiators. It will default to generic content because it knows it has a higher likelihood of being correct when it talks more generically and vaguely than if it talks in specifics. If it talks in specifics and gets it wrong, it looks terrible, and it knows that. So I think it defaults to generic content whenever possible when it doesn't know what to say, or it just makes it up. There are a lot of technical things that go into play with SEO. It's not just talking about your business in a human way, but making sure that when you're writing that content on your website and displaying it and coding it into your website, that it's done in the right technical way so that AI can actually access, crawl, and read everything that you're saying. So definitely have an SEO specialist take a look, someone who knows what technical things to look for, but also don't silo the SEO team, the executive team. They need to work together in order to spread your message, talk about your differentiators. But if I were to tell you one thing, if you're an AI B2B business owner, we have an ebook that talks about this, how to rank in AI SEO, how to do the technical stuff, how to talk generally, and just generally how to rank. We have that on our website. If you go to themarketingblender.com/AI-ebook, you can locate this ebook, download it, and read about how to specifically rank in AI and how to improve your website, how to write blogs. That is the next step I would recommend if you have more interest in going deeper on this topic. Thank you guys for watching this episode on AI SEO. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you on the next episode. Onward and upward. All right. No manufacturing ebook. Don't download that manufacturing ebook.
Onward and upward. Dun, dun.
There we go.
Anything else while we're here?
Tabby's trying to get her screen time
There is
on
no
SEO.
time.
So
You guys are over.
That's it?
studio
All right.
rental is up. We're gone.
Get out of here.